Hey guys, this is Hope with Flower Moxie, and today we are building a greenery only bouquet. I am going to build it as sort of a standard bouquet first and then show you how to make it into a cascade bouquet. So if you want to do the regular bouquet, we have the recipe for that in our greenery only collection. If you want to make it a cascade bouquet, I recommend buying maybe one additional bunch of Italian ruscus so that you have plenty to cascade over. You can add any other greenery that you want, but that one really helps with creating that cascade effect, and so does eucalyptus. Those are both kind of flexible and longer stems, so it helps you create that effect. So we'll get started. I'm going to start with kind of my foundational pieces that create the shape that I'm looking for, just like I would with any other bouquet. Greenery only bouquets are actually really easy. You don't have to worry as much about placement and the really complicated design factors. So this is a great idea for someone that is maybe a little bit worried about how their bouquet is going to turn out, if they can really do this or not. This is an easy one to do. So we will start by just kind of creating the general shape of the bouquet. And I like starting with my Israeli ruscus. It just has kind of a good straight linear shape to it, so it's easy to create that foundation. But since I am going to create a cascade, I'm going to keep in mind the side that I'm eventually going to make longer. And like I said, this style of bouquet, greenery only, is really easy, so you don't have to worry so much about placement. I just like to get things mixed in so I've got a good variety and good textures in there. Another important thing to remember with greenery only is to pre-strip the greenery before you get started. So these obviously have cleaned off the stems a whole lot, and you want to do that with all of them. It just saves you time. It's hard to strip those off with just one hand, so that'll make the process go more smoothly, and just sort them out whenever you're getting ready. You'll also notice the eucalyptus is very bendy and flexible. That is true for the seeded variety and the silver dollar variety. The baby eucalyptus is usually a lot more straight and firm, and the gunny eucalyptus tends to be as well. So these ones will be really great for the cascade shape, but I am going to tuck some in so that I've got that texture elsewhere. And it's good to put it in a place that it has some support from the other leaves. That way it's not flopping over where I don't want it to. It's also really good to have a mirror in front of you so you can see how it's going to look from further away. And I've got one right here to look at mine, and I like the shape that we're creating, but I think I need to go a little bit higher with it. So honestly, I feel like we're at a pretty good stopping point for just a standard bridal bouquet. So at this point, I'm going to start making it into more of a cascade. And you can make this a little bit bigger if you want to, just kind of depends on your preference. But this is about the standard size. So I'm going to use ruscus first for beginning the cascade. This one is one of my favorites for this type of bouquet because it's really long. It has some nice curve to it, so it's not extremely straight. But it does have some stability, so it's going to give support to this eucalyptus that's very floppy. So it's good to blend those together in here. And you can start building the cascade part while you're building the rest of it. I just wanted to show both, but it's totally fine to just keep adding longer pieces to that side, whichever way works better for you. So it's good to look at the pieces that you're adding, and you can see that that one is kind of shooting up instead of falling down with the rest of it, so I am going to change the position of that. It's also important to look at your bouquet from a few different angles. Holding it up this way will help you see if any of the parts look too narrow and like it's just pointing down. We do want the cascade part to be a bit smaller and this to look very full, but we want it to look like it kind of flows down into it nicely. And really the best way to fix that if it's too far out or not far enough is usually just to adjust your current stems. And if anything looks like it's lacking here, you can add pieces. So I'm moving this one because it felt like it kind of got away from the spot that I want the cascade to be focused in. So I'm just going to shift that a bit and make sure that it kind of flows together better. And it is totally normal and fine to have to adjust the placement of things, so don't feel bad if you have to do that a few times. I still have to do it a lot. So I am going to pull this out from behind the table and make sure that it looks nice whenever I hold it the way that I want to hold it. I'm going to trim up my stems first so that I can hold it closer to my body. So you can hold a cascade bouquet a few ways. You can hold it straight in front of you if you want a more traditional look, or you can kind of hold it to the side, like cradled in your arm a bit more. And I feel like from both of these directions, I like the way that it looks. I want to make sure that if I switched arms, it would still look nice. And it feels like the fullness that I wanted. So it's kind of up to your preference how much volume you add. You could definitely make it smaller than this. This one is a little bit large. But yeah, it's pretty simple to do, pretty easy to put together. The main thing is just figuring out your preferences with it. And you do, if you've got leaves that are hanging down inside your stems, it's good to pluck those out just so that you don't get those in the water and make it more dirty. So I'm going to secure this with a zip tie. And just feed it through my hand so you don't have to change positions. And since this is all just gathered together, I'm going to secure it really, really tight. And greenery is not very fragile. The stems are really sturdy, so you don't have to worry about smashing them like you may with another type of bouquet. Once you know that's secure, you don't feel like any pieces are really loose and going to shift around on you, then you can trim that short. And now I'm going to tidy these stems up and we'll tie it with a ribbon. So with this bouquet, I kept my stems a decent length because I want enough weight there to keep it in the vase when it's hydrating. Another tip for keeping your bouquet hydrated will be to get a shorter, wider vase that will be really sturdy, maybe one that's a little bit heavier like a ceramic vase, because this will tilt easily to the side that the cascade is on. So it's good to get a heavier vase so that this will sit upright inside of the vase. Now let's put a ribbon on it. So if you want your ribbon to hang a little bit, you'll want probably 2 to 3 yards of ribbon for it. If you just want it to fit tightly around the bouquet, then you'll just want to wrap 1 or 2 times so you don't need quite as much. So I like to start on the front and wrap around my zip tie, and then I'll cross them over and pull that tight. And then I'll tie a knot in the front. And then I like to pull these together just to get them the same length. And cutting it at an angle keeps it from fraying quite as much. So that's how you'll tie the ribbon onto it. If you didn't want this hanging with your Cascade Bouquet, you can cut it short, but that way you can hold it whichever direction you like, and pretty easy to do. So thank you guys and have a good one.